We are hanging out with Danna Ormstrup today from the Foothills Fetal Alcohol Society, another one of the 20-year celebratory social profits in our community. And Danna, have you been involved with FAS since the whole 20 years?
Yeah, 1999, 98, a steering committee was formed, I guess, out here to deal with issues about fetal alcohol syndrome. And in 99, I began. So our official beginning, 98, my official beginning, 1999.
And how did you get involved with it?
I was working in an agency and knew I wanted to do something different and said to my boss, I think I'd like to do something different. And I went to a workshop on fetal alcohol syndrome and knew that that was the something different. So I joined the steering committee, and then I came off the steering committee because it was a conflict of interest, and I applied for a position, a very small position, to travel a rural region in the health region, basically health and child and family services region, and did that and decided, the steering committee decided to form a board. The board became an agency, and
Voila.
there you go.
So if you think back to the 20 years ago and some of that vision, has that come to fruition? Is it bigger than you thought? Did you ever imagine it would grow into, I mean, you guys have evolved so much over that 20 years.
Yeah, so it's way bigger. I expected that it would just be me and my car and my little kit of things that people needed to know about fetal alcohol syndrome. And yeah, our geographical area has expanded. So we go all the way to Didsbury and almost to Lethbridge, to Strathmore, to Lake Louise. It's beautiful. We thought we would just be supporting families and doing prevention, and instead we do a lot of workshops as well, which is my favorite. It's become bigger in scope because the issue has become bigger, and the complication of trying to understand women and our social complexity and how we use alcohol, and the fact that we drink early in pregnancy and don't know we're pregnant for 5 weeks. The whole idea about women's rights and who gets the right to choose for a woman what she should and shouldn't do in a pregnancy has been fascinating. And now the addition of drugs and the legalization of marijuana will be complicated, I think, for us. So it's been an incredibly lovely learning journey. The experience of meeting people with FAS, the experience of meeting pregnant women, the strength of parents, be they adoptive or biological parents or foster parents that come to raise these kids, is every day an honor. And so yeah, 20 years has gone by so quickly because it's just an honor to be in part of people's lives. Yeah.
Any idea how many people, families, lives that you've helped support in that 20-year time frame?
We see probably 90 to 100 families a year in our office, like in their living rooms. I would think I've probably met 200 adults with FASD, living with FASD, and I would think 300 families, and I probably have done workshops for, it's about 1,500 a year.
Yeah.
So 20,000 people have come to a workshop to do better work with people affected by FASD. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
It's pretty cool.
And I think that, you know, being in the line of work where you're just out to help people, like you jump in and you just do all the time. And so I don't know if very often you get a chance to sit back and
Yeah.
reflect on
It's very
how
true.
many people's lives have been affected by the work that you're doing.
Yeah, it's very true. And you know, in human services, and especially in this kind of work, it's never done. So you don't really reflect on what you've done, you reflect on what's left to do. And so yeah, there always is that, oh, this time we could, or oh, what about with this family, or this with this adult, and what about political change here, or yeah, it's very true. Yeah, you don't reflect very often.
Well, and that was my whole hope with having a chance to sit down with the four. I lovingly call you the godmothers
I know.
of High River, and I say that with such love and admiration, because you guys you've really pioneered a lot. And I don't like to say pioneer because then it makes us feel older, but but it really, like, there's so many things that have come up, like you said, those changes over a 20-year time period that you would have never known, but you power through it and then teach others who come next.
And it's interesting with the four of us because we didn't begin as friends. Sue and I and Orvella and I knew each other professionally from being in the community. Orvella and I actually shared an office for a while, and Sue and Orvella shared an office for a while. Marianne and I shared an office for a while. But you know, we we love each other as human beings, we respect each other as professionals, and we also giggle about standing in line with our hats out for the same funding sources. And that's not easy. We refer back and forth well, we talk well about each other, and so it's going to be different when one of us, as we fall off the map into some sort of different place, probably Sue being the first. And what's that's going to be like is going to be really interesting, because we really do care about each other. Yeah, it's a bit of a loss, right? When you think about, what do you mean Sue's not going to be at that table? Of course she is. So yeah, it'll be different.
So if you could give Danna 20 years ago a piece of advice going into this line of work that you've learned now, what would you say to her?
I think I would say follow your passion, and remember it doesn't all have to be done. Yeah.
I love that
That's all I would
advice for everybody. Like, write that down right now.
I think I should write it down for
I was like,
myself.
I feel like you should say
Yeah,
that to
it doesn't
yourself
all
in the
have to
mirror
be
every day.
Yeah, we set some pretty high, when you're executive director, and especially in an agency that's nonprofit, so you're constantly relying on, what do people think about your agency? What grant did you miss, or which one did you get? It's a lot of responsibility to carry on, and when you get a base of people who count on your agency, it's a pretty big load to bear. If we weren't there, what would people do? This morning we had a really complicated call on a young woman who overdosed in her basement. What would they do if they didn't have us to call? And you have to get past that to say, I guess they'd call somebody else. But it's pretty cool to be the first ones to be called to. So you have to balance that the whole time and I'm passionate about it, and it keeps changing. So the other advice is to make sure you have some balance. So this isn't your only thing, and it is a common denominator of executive directors of passionate issues is you get so passionate that sometimes we need people in our lives to go, okay, there's me too, and you know what, you can come out and do this piece of your life that doesn't involve fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah. Now I know it's probably hard. I'll maybe feel like I'm putting you on the spot for a second, because I know 20 years of work, every story is, maybe not every story is great, but every story has meaning and every story has meant something.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have any moments or people or families or something kind of, I don't want to say the word highlight, but kind of that pops in your mind that really gave you that moment over the 20 years that comes to mind?
I probably have a few in each of the areas that we work in. So it would be different in caregiver intervention, when I guess the honor there is being called years later. Hi, it's me. So in 20 years, kids that I met when they're 8 are now 28 and have their own kids. And we get calls, I wouldn't say often, but often enough that it reminds us that, hey, I'm here, I have 2 little ones of my own. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. So that's pretty cool. We've had professionals call back after a workshop and say, I want you to know I've completely changed my practice, and these are the things I've added as a result. There was an RCMP officer actually not long ago. He didn't know it was me, but he phoned and he said, I'm just phoning to talk to you about somebody I'm dealing with. And he said, I went to a workshop once, and it was this really cool lady, and she gave me all these ideas about FAS and what I should do to be a better RCMP. And I said, that was me. And he went, oh, cool.
Yeah, thanks for calling me cool.
So much for humble. Yeah, so there's those moments, but there's moments of board members that, that still call back. There's moments where someone volunteered at an event. We used to have a horseback riding trail ride, and all these cowboys would be out there, and at the end of that event, they would be, whiskeyed up and pretty emotional about this issue. So yeah, I don't think there's 1 or 2, but there's many. Yeah, for sure.
Now, you kind of alluded to it earlier in that eventually around the table, the 4 of your faces will change and what that looks like. So what has succession planning for you started to look like, or have you even gone there yet?
Yeah, my husband's about to retire in March, so I'm not going to retire. Succession planning for me, I think, looks like doing continuing to be in the human services field. I really like sitting with groups of people who need some help understanding each other. So whether that's a parent in a school system, or whether that's a parent and the grandparents, or whether that's 3 professionals who are dealing with the same person and they need a little bit, they need facilitation, I think I can see myself doing that. I have 2 dreams. One, before I go, one is to mentor somebody overseas, an agency overseas that needs to start about this issue. They're just learning about FASD in Scotland and Ireland and places like that. I think we have some valuable learnings about starting with 6 people and ending up having 21 on a payroll. So I'd like to do that, and I'd like to do the same thing on the Canadian East Coast. And I have a passion about, oh, they'll kill me if they watch this, but there's a new brewery in town, and they're amazing, and they have these cool beer, and we're going to go to them soon, if you're watching, with an idea that maybe they could invent a beer, and we have a name for this beer already, and on the back of that beer, I would love to put a little logo about responsible drinking and women. Not no drinking, but responsible drinking, and that pregnancy be that time, and make it a fun look at how we could get messaging out there in a responsible, caring way, so that the message isn't harsh no drinking. The message is, here's the time that some people could help you for these 9 months. And so we'll be going there. High River Brewing Company, we're coming your way with a beer idea.
I love it. I don't think your brain ever stops functioning. If I've learned anything from you in I think half of your 20 years at least, we've worked together in one way, shape, or form, and your brain never stops.
You know, I said at some public meeting the other day that it doesn't, and so I'm really blessed with this brain that has all these ideas, but I'm a really crappy finisher. So I have been really lucky in my life to surround myself with people who finish the job. So it's all well and good to have ideas, and yeah, we've had lots of them at our agency, but I have amazing people that finish it up, and that's lucky.
Yeah. Well, that's what having a team is all about.
Yeah, it's great.
So that you can turn your brain
They're
off
like,
for 5
no,
minutes.
stop, no more ideas. Don't need them.
Yeah, I feel like we share a brain because I get told that quite a bit too.
Maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's my succession plan. I'm just going to phone you every day with a new idea.
Yeah.
Hi, here it is.
You could be the idea hotline.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with us
Thank
today.
you. Bye.